We have this mental picture of sadistic behavior, and we're imagining something from the Marquis de Sade. We're thinking about whips and chains and so forth, and it's not. Sadistic behavior of the narcissist is everything from tripping you up to making sure that you are made fun of when there are people present, an incessant need to constantly put you down, an incessant need to never allow you to feel whole. People are getting tired.
Joe Navarro, I'm so excited that you're back on. In fact, your interview that we taped, I think about a year and a half ago, is one of the most popular videos that I've ever had. And I think is because dangerous people surprise us. We often don't see them coming and don't even recognize that maybe somebody in our life is really dangerous. I would love to hear more about maybe your first encounter with a really dangerous person. And did you realize this individual was toxic or a risk to you?
Well, first of all, thanks. It's good to be back. It's good to see you, and always great to be on your program. I think the first encounter I had with a really dangerous personalities. I was working at Richard's department store in Hialeah, Florida, and a guy was robbing the store with a knife, and I didn't know it, but the manager said, "Go stop him," and as the guy was running out of the store, I didn't see the knife, and he lunged at me and stabbed me twice. And I think that's the first time that I really sensed that there was a dangerous personality. And it's kind of interesting because I almost lost my life that day. There was a police officer that saved my life. But it made me realize that you're only safe if there are safe people around you. It didn't matter where you were at. I was in a very nice area of town. It was a very nice store, full of people, full of shoppers, and yet all it takes is one person. But recently I've been thinking about the hundreds, actually not even hundreds, the thousands of letters that I received after I wrote Dangerous Personalities. And I listened to what the people said, and something dawned on me, which is going to be part of another book I'm going to be working on for the future, and that is, I got over the stabbing. That was, it took me a while to heal my body and all that. But those individuals that are severely flawed of character, and in particular, those that are pathologically narcissistic and have traits of sadistic traits, the people that like to torment others and belittle others and so forth, I think that trauma lasts a lot longer than physical trauma. Other than talking to you, I hardly ever talk to anybody about what happened to me when I was 17. And yet I have letters from people who, after 30, 40, 50 years of being tormented by a parent or by an uncle or by a sibling or by a manager, decades on, they're still tormented. They're suffering the effects of these individuals. So I think one of the great lessons that I've learned is that the physical stuff is one thing, but how long the anguish lasts in those that have been exposed to these individuals, it's an unbelievable amount of time.
It is. In fact, I went live yesterday and it was resonating. It was about some of my experiences and why focusing on the abuser, why trying to unpack them and understand them doesn't necessarily lead to healing. It leads to waking up and realizing you're at risk, but it doesn't necessarily solve the gaps and the questions inside of yourself about the damage. And I got a lot of outpouring of exactly the same thing. People telling these horrific stories of meeting terrible people that abuse them for long periods of time. I think one of the things that it shocked me, especially when you encounter sadism, and you mentioned that, and my last partner, I am convinced had a very profound, deep sadistic streak in him, was that it didn't show up as in the overt way like you would expect. It was more of a subtle, like, got you kind of things, and that to me is puzzling because I expected it to be more blatant. Is that something that you kind of seen across the board?
Oh, definitely. And I think that's the insidious nature of it, is that, well, first of all, we have this mental picture of sadistic behavior, and we're imagining something from the Marquis de Sade,
Yeah.
from whom the word comes from, and we're thinking about whips and chains and so forth, and it's not. The sadistic behavior of the narcissist is everything from tripping you up to making sure that you are made fun of when there are people present, an incessant need to constantly put you down, to an incessant need to never allow you to feel whole or wholesome or complete. And they put so much energy into that it is part of this pathology. And and I think these things live with us for such a long time, precisely because, from an evolutionary perspective, as I've learned from Dr. Lieberman and Dr. David Givens, our brains evolved to retain very negative things for a very long time for survival purposes. So we didn't go back to that area where the lions existed. And so the hippocampus, we have two of them, retains these things for an extraordinary period of time, and they stay with us. And so the beauty of the pain that the sadistic narcissist causes is that we relive that over and over and over again. Somebody stabs you like I was, that's a one-time affair. These sadistic behaviors are relived over and over again, and they're just as painful when we dream about it, or we think about it, or we even see an image of that individual. It just affects us terribly. So yeah.
Yeah, I kept questioning my own reality. I kept questioning, did he really mean to hurt me or did he not seem to know better? I mean, I think that's the kind-heartedness of a good-natured person, is we give each other benefit of the doubt. But what it really hit in me was it caused both shame but also a humiliation. That was that sort of the double sword that I got struck with, because you're right, it was a public
Right.
event and it made me feel inadequate at the same time.
Oh, they thrive in punishing us in public. I remember, I won't name the individual, but he always had this, it was like he always wanted to stick his finger in my eye. And I was getting ready to go on stage and give a talk. And I was having episodes of anxiety and panic attacks at the time. And right before I go on, he says, try not to screw this up. And, and as I'm walking, fortunately, it was, to get to the microphone it took a while. And I was thinking about that the whole way. And I said to myself, I'm not going to let this get to me. But later I thought about it, and I thought to myself, and one of the things I tell victims, right? Because I don't really spend a lot of time with the bad guys. I spend time with the victims. And one of the things that I learned from talking to the victims is that how much energy these sadistic individuals spend focused on putting us down, on tripping us up, on making us look bad. And I think that's one of the key traits. I think all of us, we could say something insensitive because we're humans and sometimes we say stupid things. But individuals that go out of their way to constantly torment us, that expenditure of energy has to be accounted for. We are a species that conserves energy. And anytime we expand it for evil or for bad or for antisocial behavior, that qualifies as a significant marker. And what's interesting is if you look at the DSM, and if you, for those unfamiliar with it, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder, if you look in there, the sadistic abuse is almost underplayed, and yet I can go through the letters that I've received and analyze it for content, and I can pick out how the torment has been repeated over and over and over again, and that's expenditure of energy, and unfortunately, it's not often enough accounted for. And you're right. If we're kind, if we were brought up with the Bible and religion and Judeo-Christian ethics and so forth, we tend to, lean the other cheek out, which is fine for normal people, but not for anyone that is severely flawed of character.
You're so right. I was thinking back to graduate school, and as I've worked through various renditions of the DSM, and there's almost no energy spent on sadism. I've never heard it in a graduate school course. Not ever discussed.
I didn't have the benefit of graduate school in psychology, but I did have the benefits of people like David Gibbons. I had Deborah Lieberman. I had the benefit of a variety of instructors that would come in and teach us in the FBI. And Mark Mills out of Washington, D.C., and Reed Malloy, who was the head of the APA in California. He mentioned it, but you don't see it in the literature. And yet, as you know from my writings, I always focus on what the victims say, because it's such an interesting perspective, because they experience things differently. And it's always in there. There's always an indicator of the tormenting, the intentional tormenting. And that's sadistic behavior. And I think that should be a very big part of the experience. I mean, obviously we always say, well, overvaluation of self, devaluation of others. Okay, that is the hallmark.
Yeah.
But when you begin to go granular on that and break it down, and you begin to realize, oh, these other little behaviors that we're picking at are actually sadistic behaviors. And I'll tell you another thing. One of it has to do with language. In the English language, we actually don't have a very good word for the kind of constant tormenting. It comes close, but there are other language. For instance, in Spanish is a wonderful word, and it comes from the Latin, and it is mortificar, right? And what it means is it's like I'm being pecked to death. I am being pecked to death. We don't have that word, and I wish we had it in the English language. Because when I talked to victims, I said, you realize you were being pecked to death. They weren't providing anything nurturing to you. There's nothing nurturing in sadistic behavior. And whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or even with finances, they are picking you apart. And I wish we had a word that encompasses that, because that is the net effect on the victims of narcissistic abuse.
It is. And we mistaken it. I know I did. It wasn't until I got a lot of distance from my story that I could see that there was this wearing down. I often think of it like the water drip torture, this wearing down on me from publicly embarrassing, creating deliberately embarrassing moments for me, to criticizing me, to even injuring me accidentally. It was this big picture of, like you said, there was no nurturance. I didn't realize that because I wasn't paying attention to that part of the relationship. I was trying to survive it. But now looking back, I'm like, yeah, this person was literally, you're right, pecking me to death. So let's talk about what are some of the sadistic behaviors that are maybe more commonly occurring, maybe even happening in public, that we miss. We don't recognize it as sadism.
Let's start with the simple things, which may be the words that are used to describe you. It is so hard for me to even say these words, but something as disdainful as calling you my bitch. Now, in certain cultures, that's almost acceptable. Hey, well, sorry, mate. I'm sorry. I don't accept it in any culture. The fact that we begin to denigrate by the use of terms or the tone of voice, instead of asking you to come here, telling you to come here.
Mm-hmm.
If you begin to break down the behaviors, the practices, you begin to see that I am not being treated as an equal. I am not being asked, I am being told, I am being commanded, I am being exposed publicly. I remember when I was a teenager, I had acne, and this guy who just used to love to torment everybody who had anything, would say, "Hey, pizza face,
Oh, yeah.
come here," this sort of thing. And you sort of dismiss it as, well, that's bully stuff. No, that's sadistic stuff. we
Yeah.
just didn't have anybody that told us the truth. We didn't put it in the right box. And some of the behaviors can be as simple as failure to give you a hug when you actually really, really could use a hug, failure to be empathetic, failure to recognize you even when you walk into the room, things like that. Like, you are no more than a piece of lint floating across the ether. And after a while, I had this woman who wrote me, she read the book, she wrote me, and she said, I bet I could go 3 days and, he would just not say anything to me. And yet when he got on the phone, he was with his buddies and so forth. And there's this social erosion that takes place where they make you smaller, they make you insecure, they make you feel unequal. And so what I say is, because there's so many behaviors, is first and foremost, listen to how you're feeling. Listen to your gut. As you know now, as we all know, well, not all, but we have neurons that innervate our stomachs. Our enteric system communicates. And if it's communicating that we're not equals here, I'm being destroyed one little bit at a time, pay attention to your gut. Our enteric system is innervated, our heart, our stomach, our gut.
Yeah.
And so those gut feelings we get through the vagus system communicate very honest feelings that something's not right.
Yeah. I was thinking of a flashback to a moment. There was a moment where we were out getting dressed, going out to someplace nice. We were at a really nice hotel and taking this special trip. And I dressed up, he dressed up, and I remember stepping out and waiting for the comment. And I, by the way, been in another marriage, and my late husband would have said, "Oh, you look so lovely tonight." He would have known that was a invitation to make a comment. In fact, I think I said, "You look really great tonight." And I'm thinking I'm going to reciprocal comment. And there was silence. And I thought, that's purposeful. There was something inside me that resonated. That was an intentional injury to me. But when that happens, we want to say, "Oh, I'm being sensitive. I'm wanting too much. I'm making too big of this." And when you said that, it was like I registered something, and it was a real thing that I registered. You're right. It was in response to what was happening. It wasn't just what was happening inside. It was an insecurity of me. Yeah, there's moments where I'm insecure, like, oh, I wonder if this dress fits right or if I look okay.
Right.
But this was a moment where I actually knew I'd done well and I felt good about myself. And there was normally a social exchange that we do. And I could feel it missing, and I could feel it was intentional. It registered. But I dismissed it like, I don't think you really meant that.
Very, very much so, if I can, because this is what you just said is actually in my new book. So it just came out yesterday. It's called Mastering Connections. And in there's a whole section on the behaviors that are used to unhinge good connections, right? So good connections was, your former spouse would say, "Oh, thank you. I love your outfit too," right? And you begin to see that the unhinging of connections is lack of reciprocity, right? Lack of synchrony. You say something, I say something. Lack of harmony. You say something, I'm going to counter whatever you say. Oh, the sky is blue? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's gray. And so these behaviors that in a normal, healthy relationship contribute to harmony, to connecting, the flaw of character creates situations that try to unhinge, but then they blame you for the unhinging, when all the time it is their behaviors that didn't contribute to harmony, that didn't contribute to synchrony, that didn't contribute prosocially, but they always point the finger at you. And the thing is that I used to think, well, if you could just list all the behaviors, well, there's just not enough bandwidth for that. I think what we have to do is really do the things that have worked. And that, number one, is listen to your gut. And then if that's not working for you and it's not telling you of certain things, ask your friends. And it's interesting to see how many people will later say, well, my friends told me so-and-so was not right. And so they had a sense for it. But the other thing is to, do a check and say, am I happier with this person? Am I more miserable? Am I losing sleep? Am I am I worrying? And if you have all these things going on, then the question is, do you have a good assessment of this person? Or are you letting things like religion and marriage and family harmony and things overwhelm you in your ability to actually have clarity?
Yeah, that was certainly true for me. Very much so. As I was listening there, I realized something. I think psychology sometimes worsens the situation, because what we will do in that situation is we'll attempt to understand the individual who's, I'm thinking of Gottman's research on emotional bids. We'll attempt to understand, why does that person not respond in a positive way when there's a bid for connection? And we'll say, oh, because they have trauma, or because they've had this core wound. But what we're doing is we're assuming there's an inadequacy or an insecurity. And when really sometimes this is not about that at all. Sometimes the intentionality is the pleasure of it. And we don't look at that side, that there are people who actually derive satisfaction from the disharmony.
Absolutely. Go to any high school and say, pick out who the bullies are. Bing, 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 bing. And it's like, yeah, they derive pleasure on it. Years ago, I was being interviewed on a TV show after the Vegas shooting. And I was asked by the commentator, why do you think Mr. Navarro, the guy shot 56 people in Las Vegas? And I said, from everything I've learned from psychopaths and antisocial personalities and the malignant narcissists, is because they can.
I knew you were going to say that. It's because they could.
It was because they could. And, and I tell people, when somebody has a knife to your neck, do you care if they're a psychopath or they're a sociopath, or are they this personality? You don't care. That's good for researchers, and maybe it's good for psychology. But I have to tell you, I think people are getting tired of trying to understand the why. I know people that have gone through so much hell in their life, and they're pretty nice to other people. And I always side with the victims, because you're talking, if you're a malignant narcissist, you're going to sleep well. Things aren't going to bother you. But people that are losing sleep, spending money, considering suicide. I knew a guy, highly successful, wonderful man, but he was married to an individual, a borderline personality, up and down. Everything was walking on eggshells, and he was contemplating suicide. And I don't want to say I want to laugh at it, but when you think about it, he contacted me because he lived in the neighborhood, and he wanted to know about what was the surest way of of doing this. And I said, whoa, buddy, whoa, 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 whoa. There are an infinite amount of options available to you, and this is not one of them. And fortunately, we got him some help. We got him stabilized, living somewhere else for a while, and then resolving that issue. But when somebody's tormenting you to that point, I side with the victims always. You know, there may be reasons for why people behave that way, and they may be of what I call archaeological value. But I know of one person who every day that they go to work, they have panic attacks, all because of one person in management. Who cares what's causing this?
Yeah. There is a inventory that I took recently about that last relationship, and he never called me a bad name. He never physically struck me. But when I took that inventory, there was brainwashing with terror. I felt real terror. And I was getting to the place of, and it wasn't actively suicidal, but I was thinking it would be okay if I died. At least it was an out. At least it ended. And I think that that's where people get really trapped. So what I'd love to do is jump over the podcast extra and talk about if people are identifying themselves saying, you know, Mr. Navarro, that's exactly what my life is like. I am feeling pecked to death and I don't know what the next steps are. Let's talk about what you see as the next steps. But where can people find out more about you and your work? And I'm so excited to hear there's a new book that you're working on. That's amazing. So yeah, where can we find out more about you?
Yeah, just you can Google my name, but you can go to joenavarro.net. It takes you to my website, and everything is there. My books, and actually, I now have in digital format. It's called the Navarro Dangerous Personality Inventory,
Oh, fantastic.
we basically took the inventory that I had in my books, but we digitized it and then we updated it with new information so that we have more on sadistic behavior. We have more on how culture affects certain things. We brought that out a few weeks ago because if you're on a train, maybe you don't have, or on a plane, you don't have time to be reading a book or so forth. But if you can just do a quick inventory and it's easier to conceal, which was one of the biggest factors, is how to hide this from somebody who may, you know, if you have a book that's called Dangerous Personalities and you live with a dangerous personality, that could actually harm you, but by having something on the phone. So that's available to you.
That's wonderful. I'm really thrilled to hear that. Thank you so much for being on the show today. This was a really interesting conversation. I think something we need to talk much more about. I appreciate this.
My pleasure.
It's 2 a.m. again, and you're replaying that whole conversation over, and you're wondering yourself, was it really that bad, or maybe I'm just being dramatic? So you start to draft that I'm sorry text again, because the guilt that you're feeling or the confusion you're experiencing is just unbearable. And you know this loop because you've been there before, but I want you to know that you're not alone. I'm Dr. Kerry McAvoy. I'm a retired psychologist, and for 25 years, I've been helping people untangle exactly what toxic relationships do to your mind, how they create the confusion, the self-doubt, and that trauma bond that keeps pulling you back in. Here's the truth. Recovery isn't about getting more information. It's about having the right support in the exact moment you need it. That's why I've created Reclaim You. It's a private, always available coaching app built from my work and my content, organized into an extensive library that you can actually use when you're triggered. Inside it, you'll get 5-minute lessons when your brain can't handle a deep dive, check-ins that meet you exactly where you are, whether you're feeling strong, shattered, or numb, boundary scripts that help you say no without over-explaining, grounding tools that work fast when you're activated, and progress tracking so you can see proof you're healing even on days when it feels like you're not. There's no appointments, no waiting, no judgment, just practical support right when you need it. Reclaim You, real help in real time, right in your pocket. And it's a coaching support, not therapy or emergency care. Learn more at studio.com/Dr. Kerry. So start your healing today and reclaim you.